Chris, when you look at playing Villanova again, how much can you use your first game as any sort of judge of what you did, just knowing that Sumner went out and it really changed the complexion of the game?
I don't know how much. You know, people ask me all the time, do you think the game would have ended differently had Edmond not gotten hurt? I mean, I don't know. We can't think backwards. We got to worry about thinking forward. We understand what Villanova brings to the table, and we just have to be ready to play February 24th game and not December 31st game.
What is the biggest challenge for you guys in just defending them?
Keeping them out of the lane. Their dribble penetration is at the heart of what they do. They have guys that have excellent shot fakes. It's important to stay down. Chris Jenkins gets so many defenders every game in the air, and either gets in the lane, sprays the ball, makes pull-ups. Same with Archidiakono. Those guys are extremely dangerous at getting defenders off their feet and getting in the lane. And then you add a guy like Josh Hart, who's explosive. Jalen Brunson, who plays with the IQ of his dad. I mean, it's just it's a chore keeping them out of the lane, but that's, in my mind, what's most important.
They post up their guards too, eh?
Yeah, they'll post up their guards, and teams will either choose to trap or not to trap, and yeah, they'll post them up.
Coach, talk about how big this game is for a multitude of reasons. 1 versus 5, the best team in the conference, and you haven't beaten this team since you've been in the Big East. What have you been telling your players about this matchup? What are your thoughts?
Same thing we tell them every game. To hone in on the scouting report, to understand what we need to do in order to beat Villanova. All the other stuff. It doesn't matter to us. Can't matter to us. You can't worry about the hype that goes around the game. That's irrelevant to players and coaches. It's fun for fans and it's great for our league, but boiling it down to what they actually do on the floor and what we need to take away and be prepared for is the most important thing, and that's in whoever you play.
Chris, is it kind of a myth now that the notion that they're beatable if they're not making three-pointers?
I don't know. They don't shoot a great percentage from the three, but they shoot an awful lot of them, and I think that just sort of goes into why they get teams, off their feet and are able to get into the lane. Because they take some surprise threes, they take some deep threes, it stretches your defense out, and now you're susceptible to shot fakes and, again, getting that ball in the lane, and that's what our team has to really combat tomorrow night.
What was it about Edmond that gave you so much confidence to give him a big piece of the offense going into this year, despite him missing a lot of practice last year with his knee injury and not playing a college game at all this year?
Well, number one, I didn't give Edmond anything. I don't give any of our players anything. They earn it. And I'd like to think that every one of them understands that. That's why we practice. He was by far the best practiced, player as a point guard that we had, so he became our point. We have confidence in everybody on our team, but he has an ability to get in the lane. I think as his time has gone on, he's gotten better. He's improved. He's a very, very quick learner. You don't have to tell Edmond 2 and 3 and 4 things over and over and over. He generally gets it the first time around. That's usually special players are able to to get better, and he's doing that.
Seems like Ryan Archidiakono can just take a dribble past half court, throw up a three, and it'll go in for whatever reason. How much of a threat is he specifically from long range as you head into this game?
The biggest thing that Archidiakono brings to Villanova is his mentality. It's not his ability to make threes. It's not his ability to drive and kick and set up his teammates. He's willing to do whatever it takes to win. And that's very, very evident when you watch film of him, when you compete against him, when you coach against him. And our team is going to have to match that intensity and that will to win. And that, to me, is Ryan Archidiakono in a nutshell. And he can shoot it, too.
before the season, did you guys set any tangible goals, like winning the Big East or reaching a Final Four? Or did you kind of keep it more vague to kind of keep everyone on a level plane?
No, we set goals, but we generally keep those goals inside our locker room. We don't worry about other people's expectations. We worry about our own expectations. And, so, yeah, there were goals set. And, we've checked some of them off. We still have some to check off, or at least attempt to, down the stretch. And, we're getting to the point of the season where games matter the most. And hopefully our team is able to respond and play its best basketball of the year here in March.
How do you feel about the player development that's gone on in your program the last couple of years? Most of the guys who get major minutes in your team seems like they have improved either majorly or at least minimally in certain areas of the game. Is it just a bunch of talented guys getting better, or are they extremely coachable, or are they good self-starters?
I think a little bit of everything. I think we have guys that love the game, that don't have all the answers, that want to be coached, and it's a fun group to coach. Both individually when you work with players, and as a collective group when you're putting in defensive and offensive concepts. You hear that term all the time with coaching, that players have to buy in. We're not selling anything. We want the best for our team. We want our players to develop. And when you see guys like James Farr and how far he's come, pardon the pun, it excites you as a coach. It makes you feel good. That's what you sold him when you talk to him in recruiting, that it's great who you are walking in the door at Xavier. We want you to leave here a better player, a better person, and a guy with a degree. And then you look at guys like Miles Davis, and makes you smile, makes you proud. But we sell that a lot in recruiting, because last time I checked, we haven't littered our roster with McDonald's All-Americans. So it's important that guys get better during their time at Xavier, and I think that's pretty evident. I have an incredible coaching staff, and I would be remiss if I didn't point that out. They work night and day with our players. They identify weaknesses, they inspire them, and they make them better.
Do you have a kind of a love-hate relationship with that 1-3-1?
No.
Explain your philosophy on when it works and when it's fair.
Well, I think it works in spurts. Even against Georgetown, for instance, early in the second half, they were scoring quite a bit. Our man was actually, we keep track of points per possession on the sideline, and it is a small sample size, but when you turn, to the bench and your assistant coaches say, hey, they're scoring, 1.2 points per possession in our zone, and they're scoring 0.6 points per possession in our man. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to want to play man. There are certain teams that I don't feel have a plan at times. There are certain teams that personnel make it maybe a little tougher for them to score against. And then, as we've played it, we've started to figure out how programs want to attack it, because now we're in a year and a half into playing it a little bit. And so we're seeing teams for the second and third time and trying to figure out how do they want to attack it. And again, anytime we've ever thrown it out there for 25, 30 minutes straight, it hasn't been a cure-all. And, again, we generally play it, Paul, when we have bigger players on the floor, and we don't always play Jalen and James together or Jalen and Sean together. So just because our best defensive unit might work in that zone defense doesn't mean that's our best offensive unit. So we have to be very mindful of that. If it were football, then it may be a little bit easier.
Does the zone affect the way you want to play offense? Does it hinder your ability to get out and push the ball?
No, not necessarily push the ball, but I'll give you for example. You have James and Jalen. It makes that defense really stiff inside the lane. It's hard to score around the basket. It's hard to get layups against the zone. But when we're on offense, we have one less ball handler on the floor. The lane gets a little bit more clogged. The teams are able to sink they're 4 and 5 right in the lane. It makes it more difficult on our 3 offensive players.
It's personnel more than style in terms of
Correct.
how it affects your offense.
Yeah.
I mean, on the face of it, you see Villanova that, as I was saying before, they're 263rd in the country in three-point percent, which is incredible. On the face of it, it seems like a team gets zone until they shoot you out of it. But it doesn't always work that way.
And you know, if you look back at our prior games to Villanova, we've played zone against them, and they've gone on some runs during that time. And I think we've got to do a better job in our zone. You know, we're not afraid to play it against anybody, but we have to know how they're going to attack it. We have to take certain players away as best we can. We have to have an understanding of where guys are on the floor. And if that's the case, then there's no reason that it can't be a defense we play every game.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.